All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. First up is approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Yoshimi? Caitlin? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next up is addressing the board. Selena, do we have anybody signed in?
Dennis Burnett.
Sorry, what?
Dennis Burnett.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, hold on, I gotta read the spiel first. Let me read my spiel first. Okay, addressing the board, you may present concerns, concern to the board during the time reserved for public comment. If this is the case, we ask that you, prior to the start of the meeting, sign in noting the topic you intend to address to the board. Come to the microphone and state your name. Do not reflect adversely on the political or economic view, ethnic background, character, or motives of any individual. Do keep your comments concise, non-emotional, and brief. The board is interested in hearing your concerns and your compliments too. It is best to call the superintendent's office a couple days before the meeting. If this isn't possible, you can ask the board present to recognize you during the hearing section, and we will go for 3 minutes for a total of 20.
So when the timer starts, it'll be 10 seconds, it'll beep, 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 and fly right through that. The second time it goes beep, yeah, then the time's up.
Okay, hopefully I won't take 3 minutes. Okay, you start?
Yep,
Okay.
go ahead.
I'm Dennis Burnett. Live here in Prosser. We've lived here 26 years. I'd heard about the bus grant and that you're being approved for, and I congratulate you on that. As a taxpayer, I'm glad that you're being fiscally responsible here, and this is a great opportunity to save some money. Because there's a lot of issues with electric cars and buses and range and things like that. But one of the things to look at is for school buses, it's one of the best applications for an electric vehicle. It's sitting idle probably 20 hours a day. It can be charged even slowly at that point. The runs are generally not enough to deplete the batteries. I have family who's involved in public transit, and they're trying them out, and they run into issues with long runs, long days, long routes, and recharging. But if you're going to find a use, the school buses are great. Also, it's, from what I understand from the grant, it's practically free, and it'll cost very little to run and operate. So it's, I think, just wanted to bring in good news instead of being opposition like people always are, and just say this is a good deal, and I'm glad Prosser is ahead of other people in getting it. So I just wanted to support that. I think save us some money and get us going on the map.
Thank you.
See, not even 3 minutes.
Is there anybody online? Like, okay, that concludes that portion of the meeting. We'll go on to informational items. It is Administrative Professionals Day, April 24th, 2024.
So this letter is in your board packet, but I do like to read these for public record. I did also send it out to the staff today. It says, Dear Administrative Assistants, as we celebrate Administrative Professionals Day today, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for your exceptional dedication and hard work. Your contributions are truly invaluable to the success of the Prosser School District, and I am continuously inspired by your professionalism and commitment. To our administrative assistants across various departments, whether it's, and the list is long, Business Office, Curriculum Department, Housel Middle School, Keene Riverview Elementary, Maintenance Department, Migrant Bilingual Department, Prosser Heights Elementary, Prosser High School Special Services, Technology Department, Transportation Department, or Whitstrand Elementary, your efforts play a vital role in ensuring the smooth functioning of our district. Your attention to detail, organizational skills, and unwavering support enable our schools to thrive and our students to excel. Behind every successful initiative, event, and project, there is your hard work and dedication, and for that we are incredibly grateful. On this special day, please take a moment to recognize and celebrate your accomplishments. Your dedication does not go unnoticed, and I want to personally thank you for all that you do to make the Prosser School District a better place. Happy Administrative Professionals Day. Your contributions are deeply appreciated and valued. So I just think it's important that we make sure that we know that everybody that works inside our district, it takes every single person to make it work. And these sometimes are the unsung heroes, right? The people that make the phone calls and do the whatever. So thank you for letting me read the letter. And if you're listening and watching, thank you to the administrative professionals because it is a key role in our district.
Great, thank you. Moving on to student rep reports, Yoshimi.
Nothing, but band is starting to practice on the bus loop and we're doing memorization. Good. That's it.
Caitlin,
Nothing to report. Everything's going.
Noah,
I didn't have much. The high school had prom recently. I heard good things. I heard some bad things. But for the most part, it was really good. The prom after party was, I heard nothing but good things about that. A few police officers actually showed up to play laser tag a little later in the evening. So I think people had fun at that. Seniors, we got our graduation packages during conferences. So that's pretty cool. We have 29 and a half actual school days left, I think it is. But who's counting? And that's all I have.
great, thank you. Any questions? All right. Moving on to discussion items. We'll start with school building reports, Prosser High School. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you. I don't see the timer going off. There it goes. Parent teacher conferences, very happy to have those done. Gives us an opportunity to speak with parents and students together. Very informative for both and well, really all parties. It's a good time for us. I find that I talk to more parents in this week than I do any other time. So it's a good time for us to connect. Noah brought up prom. Very grateful for Thrive Coalition. We want to thank them for their sponsorship of the after prom party. It did go very well. We've struggled to get students there in the past, but we did have 180 plus at this event. Very well attended at Bethel Church. So thank you to all who were involved. Thank you to Rotary. We held our Rotary track meet. Turned into a twilight meet for the first time in some years, but I think they finally finished about 10 o'clock. Very well attended as well. Working on a few things, working on scheduling. We visited with every single class, including our 8th graders, and transitioning here to the high school, trying to work on class schedules and get those done soon. My goal is May 10th to have a master schedule done. And then I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations. We had our first signees today for our Bridge to Teaching program through Washington State University. That's why you have the backdrop. Congratulations to Caitlin Killian and Estefania Miranda Tsib for being the first 2 students that we've had in this program. Bridge to Teaching gives them the opportunity to earn a degree in the teaching field while continuing to work here in our district and work through that program. Special thank you to Val Baker for everything that she's done for us. She is retiring at the end of this year, but she has been instrumental in building that program. I am currently working on filling positions. We had 2 great interviews, days of interviews for Spanish and ELA. Quite a few very, very positive interviews and people to choose from, very difficult decisions. So that's been very good to see. So, and that'll be it for me.
Great, thank you. And department reports, food services, Darlene.
Hello, I'm Darlene Morrow, the food service director. And I wanted to let you know a few things that's going on in our department. Since this is my first time reporting to the board, I wanted to let you know that daily we feed about 800 students breakfast. which equals about 1,200 breakfasts, or excuse me, 12,000 breakfasts monthly, and over 92,000 up to today. We have fed breakfast to students. Lunches, we feed about 1,600 each day, which equals about 2,500 lunches, 25,000 lunches monthly, and over 200,000 lunches up to date. We engage with the students as they come to the lunch line and try to cater to their taste, but we still have to go by the USDA and OSPI guidelines. Something good that's going on in our department, the way I feel is there's always something going on good in our department because we're feeding the students. We received a grant for $57,000 to buy a new oven for KRV because in December, the oven broke down and the parts are no longer available. So we got a grant for breakfast after the bell grant for the oven. And we're working on a farm to school grant where we can buy local beef and produce. We're planning on the summer feeding program. And we partner with Second Harvest every single month. And it's always at the Bethel Church. We give out food boxes for our community. We're always in need of volunteers. So if you're can spare a little while, it'd be great if you could come out and help us. And we're celebrating School Lunch Herald Day on May the 3rd. So if you are in the school at that time, please stop into our kitchens and say hello to our staff and let them know how well they're doing.
Great, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
In your second harvest, it's Monday, right?
It's Monday, yes,
Okay.
at 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Favorite.
I would say chicken drumsticks and mashed potatoes and gravy. Thank you.
They even nodded their heads.
All right, moving on to. Lost my spot here. Moving on to action items, out of state travel for Gear Up Day at Eastern Oregon University, LeGrand.
Hello, I'm Tyler Hunt. I'm the site manager for Gear Up. And Eastern Oregon's putting on a Gear Up Day for Gear Up schools all over Washington. So they have 300 spots. We have 20 spots. And so just looking to take students down there. It's gonna be on Friday, May 10th. Leave here around 7:45, get down to the school. They're gonna do like a big presentation with like their band and their cheerleaders to start off the day, do a little presentation about admissions. And then the kids are gonna get split up into different groups. One group will do like the actual like tour, seeing the whole school. And the other group, while they're doing that, will do lunch, and then they'll switch vice versa. And then they'll do a closing ceremony. They'll have like prizes and stuff to give away for the students. And then we'll leave there and get back here around 4:45. Chaperoning will be myself, and then actually beginning of next month, finally gonna get another person on board with me through Gear Up. His name's Jose, so just waiting for WCU's paperwork to get through on the HR side. So us two will be the ones chaperoning that. So far, I have had 8 students pick up permission packets, but I sent out a email today to staff and freshmen and seniors to hopefully fill those 20 spots to go on that trip down there.
Great. Could you give us just a quick summary of what Gear Up is?
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you who don't know, it stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs, which is why we call it Gear Up. Basically, it's a program that focuses on helping students succeed while they're here in school and giving them opportunities to learn like what they want to do after school and how to achieve that. So it's a cohort-based program. So right now we have 2 grants. We have OVP 4, 4, which is with our current seniors and was with the graduating class last year as well. And then we also have OVP 5, which is with the current freshmen. So that's the one kind of like unfortunate thing is that it's really geared towards those two things. So those two grades are the only grades I can like actually spend money on. But I try to do my best to make sure that our programs are open to as many students as possible. For example, I'm in my room every day until 4 o'clock, have my room open for homework help, and that's open to any student that wants to come by. But yeah, so we're trying to just do programs, and I started back in November, and so I'm trying to pick things back up because there's, I think, a month and a half gap between me and the previous person. And so really trying to learn not only the school culture, but also like how Gear Up works, all the back end paperwork, and finally starting to do some programs and stuff. So we have this, and then also I just got approval to do a trip to the west side at the end of the school year. We're gonna go to the Woodland Park Zoo, as well as the Boeing Everett factory. So really just trying to find ways to get students engaged, not only in school, but also what they want to do in their career afterwards.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? One move to approve out-of-state travel and participation in Eastern Oregon University Gear Up Day. Yoshimi, Caitlin, Noah? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is out-of-state travel for HOSA.
Hello,
So,
Mackenzie Lopez, the HOSA advisor, and Rick, PTE director. So this year we competed at state HOSA, and I'd like to note that for state, as far as Washington State goes, Washington State HOSA grew by over 200%. So we went from being the 22nd largest in the United States to being the 14th largest. So that meant that all of my kids that I took had much more competition. And going into it, we were like, okay, we'll see what happens. And we ended up having 3 teams place in the top 5, 2 teams that qualified for internationals. And they call it internationals because it truly is an international event. The United States does have the largest amount of HOSA chapters, but there are chapters in China, Puerto Rico, Canada, Mexico, quite a few other countries that also bring kids here as well. So we are requesting that we get to travel with 4 HOSA students. Caitlin and Gina are my seniors that qualified in the health career display, and then 2 juniors who you guys got to see their public service announcement video about fentanyl. Tessa and Emma, who placed first in their category, are also qualifying for internationals as well. And so we're requesting to get to go there from it's in Houston, Texas, June 25th through June 30th, so they wouldn't be missing any school. Am I missing anything? No. What was that?
Oh, funding,
Oh,
so they have different fundraisers going on that
Yeah.
they'll use, and they have some money in their account, and just like all the other programs that have gone on to nationals, any money that they need to make sure the kids get there will be provided by CTE.
awesome.
Thank you.
And I'd like to add, yeah, that's our 3rd team this year that has come in for nationals. DECA leaves on Friday, and Soils leaves on Monday. And we still have some more competitions to go.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm really proud of all my CTSO advisors.
Any questions?
I'd like to move to approve out-of-state travel for HOSA.
Been moved and seconded. Yoshimi? Caitlin? No.
Caitlin,
I'm glad you didn't say no. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Moving on to a consultant service agreement with Rossby Young Enterprises.
I don't.
This is Kevin's. Kevin on?
I mean, ultimately, if you look at it, it's they have an author that's gonna come and do a virtual presentation for their students, 2 presentations actually. So, on the 14th and 15th of May. So I think they're just doing some things to enhance their instructional program.
And I know Kevin just got home with me today, so I don't
Yeah, I
even,
don't know if he's.
I don't
I'm-
even.
I'm here.
Oh, I thought maybe you'd be there.
That's what it is. It's a virtual author presentation. We try to bring in at least one author a year to present to the kids. And so this is this year. So I think Ruth talked to me earlier this year, and she reached out to the author and organized this event for us.
What's a virtual author visit? How's that work?
She'll basically be, it's kind of like a Zoom, so it'll be interactive, but it's not in person. It'll be video.
Any other questions? I move to approve the consultant service agreement with Ross B. Young Enterprises.
Second?
Yoshimi, Caitlin, Noah. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Kevin. Next up is Prosser High School Unified Mustang Club.
Pass out their paper.
Oh.
I don't see anyone.
Can we move forward with them not be
You can
Yeah.
talk about it. Just explain it in a nutshell.
Okay, kind of
Intern- yeah.
a little, dipped into it a little bit.
Okay, so Unified Club is an affiliate of, Unified Schools, which is what we just were registered under Special Olympics. So the Unified Clubs allows us, to do some opportunities with, all school engagement with students, presenting activities for pep assembly, stuff like that. They're doing tomorrow night the cornhole tournament to bring awareness of Unified Club. So just little activities that engage kids to recognize that everybody belongs and has a place type of a thing. So there's currently 19 kids in the Unified Club. So it's wonderful. So. And it's
Cornhole teams did you have?
5, hopefully 6.
Still, anybody that wants to join?
Mr. Bailey's
please,
playing.
You have enough cornhole boards?
Oh, yes, the hospitals donate, loaning them to us to use.
Yeah, cornhole's big at the hospital, we hear.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I know. So
What time tomorrow?
from 5 to 7 o'clock tomorrow, yeah.
So remember, is really kind of, it was something Nikki kind of brought to us, she and I talked about, and then remember Prosser Leadership has taken this on as their project to get the startup funding. We have a breakfast that we're gonna be selling tickets to all you people on June 22nd at Farmers Market, to help raise funds for our.
By basketball, that'll be a big one. Yep, we'll be competing next basketball season with Sunnyside, Grandview and Walla Walla. So that'll be fun. Questions for me?
And I guess I should clarify, the reason this is actually sitting in front of you is when we add a new club, the board has to approve the new club into the ASB. That help?
Yes.
Okay.
I was wondering.
Yep.
Any other questions for Nikki?
I'm curious, like what are all the sports that, club or, how
Oh,
does that work?
they can do absolutely everything. So they can do, like, for instance, some of the club members weren't even comfortable competing in cornhole because they felt like they weren't athletic enough, so they want to do badminton. So it can be competitive, it can be completely recreational, but and it can be K-12 as well. It's not just high school. I just wanted to get it up and going with Fidelity, and since it's new to me, also learn the ropes so it was done correctly. So I would love to see it expand to soccer, possibly even next year, but start, with basketball. And move
There's,
forward.
in our area, there's soccer, basketball, and bowling.
Bowling's huge. The kids love bowling. Yeah.
So there's a bowling in the Eastern Washington area. Wenatchee has a very, very strong unified program, and I think they do. For some reason, I think they have a softball or
They could.
yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know though, because they're co-ed, all the teams are.
Yeah, but I think they play softball as well.
As a rec.
They don't play baseball.
Gotcha.
They play softball. But yeah, so and if we can keep this way, then the travel's not too far and those kind of things. But they have regionals and state, and they have all of those, things, just like traditional sport.
It's under the umbrella of WIAA.
Yep.
with a
Absolutely
strong-
is. Mhm.
A strong contingent of schools in the CUAC that have programs. Those three sports typically, the freight is very strong as well.
Oh, yeah.
There's a chance that but you have two separate, you have the athletics, which is the unified sports, and then you have the activities like cornhole that we're trying to do through our club.
Yep.
Just to kind of bridge that gap and help everybody feel comfortable participating. So we're excited to offer both.
Yeah. To be a unified school district, there's three prongs and we have to at least have two of them in place. And so the two that we have in place are unified club and unified sports. So.
The club and the sports are different. That was like a little confused.
Yes.
And
You can be in the club and not be on the basketball team.
Correct, if you choose to,
And
absolutely.
I think the other thing is the club allows us for ASB, for raising funds, just doing different pieces that way as well.
Any other
The
questions?
girls just get on.
Not that I see.
Okay.
They're on,
There-
they can.
There's
certainly
no
unmute.
infrastructure or anything we have to change or do as a result of doing this, or we, nothing more than we're already.
Nothing more than what we're doing, absolutely. Yeah.
I move to approve the Prosper High School Youth Club.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Yoshimi? Caitlin? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving to number 5, Ecology Electric School Bus Grant.
Right, so we won one bus, so we applied for. As you can see in the packet, I'm working with Bryson, Bluebird, upped us, instead of waiting 18 to 24 months, they said we could have it in September of this year. So I have to have the approval by the end of this month to keep that date, otherwise I think we'll get pushed out a little bit more. And then I put on your desk the total cost of ownership that shows the 13 years of depreciation based on like 20,000 miles. And the cost for the diesel bus is the bus that's being delivered that we ordered a year and a half ago and being delivered in September as well versus the electric bus. So over 13 years, it's gonna save us $326,000. And we were looking at Route 6, testing it out, and there's no
You
hill.
Shared with us about how many miles is that? I can't remember.
Route 6 is 14 miles each run. So it goes 90 miles each run, so it has plenty of extra juice in it. And we won't have to worry about power, and that will run all of the heat and air conditioning that comes on the bus. And give us extra power bank for that. And then there's 6 hours in between routes that it'll have time to recharge if needed. But I also plan on using it for some training and like the small 1-hour trips, like when we come to the high school and pick up the history class and take them downtown. And so we'll use it for the small trips to help save money as well. diesel costs.
I want to share what I learned when we were doing those emails back and forth about the grant. And why don't you explain about the scrapping of the bus and what we have to do prior to the money being released for us for the grant?
Okay, so if we accept the grant, we have to scrap bus 12. Bus 12 is our oldest bus in the fleet and it's a 2009. You'll see it running on the Tri-Tech route right now. But in order to qualify, we had to use the oldest bus possible and that's it. So we'll take it down and we'll get it scrapped out and we'll probably get like $400 for it. If we were to empty all the fluids out and send it down on a tow truck, we would get more money, but the tow bill would take it all away. And so once we get that, they're gonna drill a hole in the engine block, take pictures, send them back to me. We'll upload them in the Department of Ecology. And then we will send over the final invoice from Bryson, and then they will pay us the money. And then in 45 days after the bus is delivered, Bryson will then accept payment from us. So we don't have to put out any money. We'll get the money first and then pay Bryson for the bus.
So I think that's really important for this group when we're working on cash flow, right? Because cash flow's is tight. So we will, once we know pretty close to the delivery date, we will do the scrap and the hole and all that and get all that paperwork submitted, because they will not approve releasing of the funds until that is done. And we can do that and then the bus arrives and they invoice. And then we negotiate with Bryson to give us 45 days. And we do not have to write the check it's not a reimbursable grant. We just have, it's an invoice grant. So once we're invoiced, we can send the money off and the grant money will come in that cycle. So we will not be having to use cash reserves or anything to pay that in that cycle. So it is pretty finite, but if we do it right, it should work just fine. And Bryson's.
Our TVF fund comes in August 31st. And that's the money that I was planning on using for the additional part that we have to pay. In any was it $98,000 of our share from having the upgrades that weatherize the bus for our location. And there's.
Tell them about the infrastructure grant too.
Oh, the new one? Oh, the infrastructure grant, so it's part of this grant. It comes with $75,000. It pays for the charging station and then the $7,000 from the electrician to plug and play. I chose to move my buses around and we're gonna put the bus straight in front of our electrical panel so they don't have to break ground. And they'll just run it up and down the pole. And that'll save a lot of money.
So this bus will potentially come in September, so it'd be for the start of school. Will we be able to have a charging station installed prior to that?
Currently, bus 12, is it, like, what kind of shape is it in?
It's not in a horrible shape. It's one of our favorite buses. It has a lot of power still. It has less computer issues because it's older and not everything's in it. It doesn't have any DEF in it. So, I mean, it runs really well. It's kind of sad to have to use that one.
Do you have to use that one? Just because it's the oldest?
And it's the age limit and requirement that helped us qualify for the grant. Because if we would have put in a 2010 bus, then we wouldn't have qualified for the grant. But that 2009 gave me that extra 10 points.
So in order for this, it just seems crazy that you've got to honestly take a bus out of commission that still sounds like it's in decent shape. And there's no DEF, which I'm not a big fan of DEF either. So
we've done it.
This thing, like when you take it down, it's out of commission. Like,
well, first we strip it for every part known we can keep and use for other buses, and it'll run down. We take out, and when we get there, we take out the driver's seat, so we have a spare driver's seat. I mean, we take everything we could possibly reuse out of it. The camera systems, the temperature gauges, any of the electrical components that we'll work on, and even look at other buses and say, are there good seats out of this bus we could use the padding or stuffing for another seat that has the same size? So it goes down pretty threadbare. And in the past, when we had the other reimbursement grants where you destroyed a bus and they gave us $35,000 and we did that for 5 buses, we also had to destroy buses. It's part of the Department of Ecology's MO to get the non-DEF buses off the road.
Can you use the seats out of that bus and put them in one of the buses with the seatbelts?
No, the padding out of the seats, not the actual seats. They're different sizes because they've modified it a few years after we got that with the, but we can just shave down the padding to make it fit inside.
So this is still, if I'm reading this right, total district cost is, there's still a cost in for.
Correct.
For us, 92,000, 520, okay.
So that's pre-tax, but the reimbursable in our TVF fund is for the full $542,000. They don't care how we pay for the bus. Once it's on our register with OSPI, we start getting reimbursement for the full contracted amount. And so every year of that 13 years is the price for an electric bus goes up. We get the base model year reimbursement. So it's 542 this year. It might be 575 next year. So next year's TVF depreciation payment would be based on that 575. And as it continues to climb each year, so we could potentially get more money back than what we paid for that bus if the prices never go down.
And you can use that depreciation to buy a diesel bus.
Absolutely.
That would buy 2 diesel buses.
Mhm.
And then when we buy those, we can depreciate them. So
Mhm.
for the 90, we'll call it 100,000.
Yeah,
round up.
yeah.
We get the electric bus,
Mhm.
enough money to buy 2 diesel buses.
Mhm.
So that's like, well, that's $1 million according, and then, okay, math team's not here. So it's
And these
like-
buses are going up, I heard through the grapevine,
I'm sure.
35% next year.
What is going up?
The cost of a diesel bus, 35%. So I think that it's kind of imperative that we start looking to make sure our TVF fund stays sound in any way possible. And getting this with the depreciation, it's almost like getting free extra money for a low cost that will, over 13 years, we will get back.
And you pay for the bus out of the TVF.
Correct. And that's a transportation vehicle fund. It can only be used for vehicles for transportation department or parts for transportation department vehicles.
This is your first EV bus, correct?
Correct. So Sunnyside has
I saw a
some.
picture on Facebook or something the other day.
Oh,
One day we just
that
got
was
these
my bad.
EV
I
buses
have-
delivered.
I have friends from California that are touring with electric buses. They're not Washington State spec approved, but they were coming over from Idaho and they said, Amy, are you guys there? We want to stop and see what your drivers have to say about our buses. So they came and brought their buses and let my drivers play in them after hours and tell them everything they loved and everything they hated. So it was just a little fun thing for our group. They're not ours. We could never drive them. It was just a fun.
And so we currently, if you get rid of bus 12
Mm-hmm.
and you get this electric guy, we still have an extra bus in the fleet, correct?
We still, yes, we still have 2 extra buses in the fleet.
I'm just like this 13-year payback, like what if like year 2, 3, like this electric bus is just a turd? Like,
And it stays parked and we still get $60,000 to $70,000 a year for it and it's not costing us anything.
But then we're one less bus.
but then we're one less
Oh,
bus.
we're still getting one in September, right?
Yeah, we're still getting one in September. We ordered 2 years ago and then you just approved the 2 more for the next fall. I mean, we're continually replacing them. Because the plan is, Route 6 right now has bus 25. And 25 is a non-seatbelt rear engine bus. So I was gonna throw that in to have an extra trip bus. That way, if something is going wrong with that bus, he always has a bus dedicated for him if it's not being used on a trip. And so we'll have the 5 buses instead of throwing his bus on another route so that it's always gone. So I always have, and then I have the one parked over at maintenance that's still a spare. And then we have another one that's a spare. So, and when we get the one in September, it's also a rear engine. And we want to move that onto Route 15 because she actually requested seatbelts because she has a bunch of K through 5. And so her bus then also becomes a spare. And it's a 78 passenger. So I'll have extra buses. I don't have anywhere to park them. I'll have them.
So I noticed the warranty was only 3 years.
And that's for certain parts. It's actually a 5-year warranty for the whole system. And then a 10-year warranty for the batteries. And when we get the booklet and we sign this, they send us the actual warranty for every component of the bus.
As an owner of a trucking business, I know the things they don't warranty are very long are the things that are gonna go out. And so I do have a little reluctancy to it, but you know,
So,
this is kind of a test, you know,
yeah,
I'm not totally opposed to that, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's.
we have
this
a
in
really,
California, where they made people get rid of tractors.
Mhm.
They made them punch holes in the block. And
Mhm.
almost every farmer I know was regretted doing
Right.
it, but they were kind of forced to
yeah.
because of emissions.
I mean, so they did pass that law saying that we have to have electric buses. But the caveat to it is until OSPI and the Department of Ecology can make diesel buses equal electric buses, there's no date set. So they've got to work together and figure out how to make them price comparable for districts to afford. So it will be there eventually. I just don't know if it'll be 5 years or 20 years. So,
Better to try now.
Mhm.
Better to try now and find out.
well, I would like to do it when we get most of it paid for
Yeah.
instead of it coming out and hurting really, really, really bad. So, and then my drivers are actually kind of excited to get it and try it out and see it. I mean, my most skeptical driver actually played in the electric bus and took it for a test drive. And she goes, I guess it's not that bad. I was like, well, I'll take that as a win.
The last time, I think we were talking about the other buses that we approved a
Uh-huh.
few weeks ago. And I can't remember what you said, but rear engine, the turning radius is shorter or longer?
It's longer.
And I see this as, does the electric bus the
The rear
same,
engine.
is it the same turning radius as a diesel?
Mhm.
Okay,
And the route it's on only makes 4 turns, so.
no. Well, that's good.
Yeah. And he drops off half his kids at the apartments behind Les Schwab, and then he only has like 15 on the rest of his route. And then where his route is, if something were to happen with that bus, there's 2 other buses that would easily be able to say, here, give me your kids, I'll get them home real quick, and it won't affect the times of the others. Like, I was really thoughtful about which route I wanted to test it on. So, and then Bryson agreed to give us driver training. So Tom, who's gonna drive the bus, and I would go to that training, and that gives us the, they like to call it the, oh my gosh, what do I do moments? How do we do this? You know, and then Jaime and Daniel, my mechanics, will get training. They'll get some classes. And then they have, Bryson has one service technician that's like from the dealership. He's allowed to disconnect the whole electrical system. So he will come over and teach Daniel and Jaime how to do all of the important don't shock yourself stuff. And-
The charging infrastructure,
Uh-huh.
is that cost for every one, or how many buses would that actually charge? Okay.
2.
2 buses.
Mhm.
And do you know, like, how much power that takes, like?
Oh.
I'm just thinking about our grid and. you know,
Our grid handles it. We had the PUD come out and the electrician, and they're all the panels already all matched. PUD said if we had issues that they would for free upgrade it because it's so old, the box.
And we did the work on that. We've already,
Yeah.
we contacted, made
They
sure. that-
told me, and then, I emailed them again to make sure what they said.
But we had
was
it in
true
writing.
About the
Yeah.
cost. Like, not that we don't believe her, but we just want to hear it again.
Well,
It's
and I
no
think the
cost.
part was if somebody leaves or moves or changes jobs or whatever,
Yeah.
right? You wanted something in email writing
right.
that after Deanna's done, she sent it back and then
Yeah.
they said yes. And so we've got that with the.
So like, I guess in the cost of the bus, the 596, like 59,000 of it's actually the charging station that comes out of that $75,000 infrastructure grant. So that's kind of why the price is a little funky when you look at it long term.
Any other question?
I have one. Do you know what the battery degradation is on the buses? Like, I know that on Tesla's from 2012, it's only like 6%. Do you know?
10%.
What does that mean? What you just asked?
how much the battery is able to hold after a certain amount of time? Like
Just
my
like your
phone,
cell phone gets old.
it's original charge, so the batteries, they lose their ability to hold a full charge every time. Okay.
Yeah, so current recommendation, like current, I guess testing is it's 100 miles per charge. The bus, they all say only go 90. That way you can make it back to the charging station.
Can we negotiate for a better warranty?
Probably not, but I can get a full copy of the warranty to you. I mean. I'm gonna tell you, we have a great working relationship with Bryson. I can call them and get a lot of stuff and try to. We work really hard to keep that relationship going. And because we are an all Bluebird fleet, and they say, because I'm mouthy and other transportation directors follow and steps, they really try to work with us and get stuff. Because I think that's why our bus got moved up. Is because everybody in our area has Thomas's, the Julies that are electric. They don't have a Bryson in our area, a Bluebird bus. So.
I think that's a really good opportunity for us to test it out before we are forced to do it.
And the other good news is like, if we get it and it really becomes an issue, then I have that opportunity when we meet with OSPI every couple months to say, hey, this isn't working for me and this is why it's not working. And I have solid evidence to say, hey, you guys need to fight for us a little harder. You know, so it's kind of a win-win on that. Because I really like being the voice of like, this doesn't work over here. But let me show you my reports and my spreadsheets as to why for proof and backup.
I think it's a really great position for our district to be able to speak from experience when we, you know, maybe are mandated to do this. And I appreciate all the work that you put into Grant and answering all the questions we're gonna have.
We're having a lot of you. It'll be fun.
Any other questions?
So what, just so I'm clear, one electric gets us 2 diesels down the road.
Correct. But technically not, because we get the grant money to pay for it, so it's really like 92,000, which is a third of the 2 diesel.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve Ecology Electric School Bus.
I'll second. Been moved and seconded. Yoshimi, Caitlin, Noah. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And we all get a bus ride, right?
Absolutely, you can get a bus ride anytime you come down.
Brianna just got online from Unified Club. Do you guys have any questions for her?
I don't think so. No, appreciate you coming on. Moving on to resolution 0424, parent teacher conference days waiver.
So, we, as you know, we have parent-teacher conferences, traditionally 2 days in the spring, 2 days in the fall, but those are days without students, and so we're required to request a waiver from the state for those days, and it has to be passed through resolution for the board. So this is so we can, for the next 3 years, continue to have our parent conferences, which we have really great turnout with our parent conferences. I didn't see the percentage yet, but usually we're quite high in the 90s of parent participation. So that's just so we can continue providing parent conferences twice a year.
If this wasn't approved, then what happens?
Can't have them.
Can't have conferences.
You'd either have to, if you did, you'd have to do them outside of school time,
Okay,
probably
that-
pay people extra time. This allows us to do the days and them to count as school days.
Okay, that was.
I
my
mean, you can still do them, but we're probably have to compensate people another way because kids would be at school and you'd have to do them after school. So.
I would motion to approve resolution 04-24.
Second.
Teacher conference.
Second.
You get a chance to write it down that.
I had a good one in.
Yoshimi, Caitlin, this is a resolution, so we'll, what do we call it? Roll call vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Elisa?
Yes.
And I too will vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. Next up is consultant service agreement with Tri-City Thunder. Jackson, how are you?
Good, how about yourself?
Doing well, thanks.
So this consultant agreement form is for our middle school track meet this time around. The price is reduced since it's the first time he's doing it for middle school is 400 instead of the 600 allotment that he does for high school events. This would help, like I said last time, this is gonna help our meet run a lot more smoothly instead of having people hand time it. We're gonna have accurate times. So this is some 80s like this model. I know that our middle school league wants to kind of go to this for the foreseeable years. So we can get accurate times to help our kids out at the next level. So I am requesting that we use our timing system for May 14th, I believe.
Well, I move to approve the consultant service agreement with Tri-City Thunder. Been moved and seconded. Yoshimi, Caitlin, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Now you got two more.
And I have an update. So from the last time, I got approval from District 5 to them. They're gonna cover the costs for our timing system for our district meet on May 17th. So that $1,000 fee is no longer on us. It's on the district. It's on our league. So.
Oh, good news.
Yeah.
Great news.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear that news. That's good news.
Surprising you.
Celebration moment.
All right, so next up is resolution 0524, Prosser High School WIAA membership.
So these are our yearly memberships for the high school, and then next ones are middle school. It's just to signify that our middle school and our high school are part of the WIAA. These are yearly things, so next year you'll see me again at this time asking for the same thing for our high school and our middle school to be a part of the WIAA. Within that packet, it goes over kind of the payment process of what we will be paying. So membership fees, kind of how it works with the WOA, which is the Washington Officials Association as well. So it kind of goes over payments for those as well. But I am asking that we continue to be a part of the WIAA and not to go independent. So, yeah.
Move to approve resolution on 524 Prosser High School WIAA membership.
Been moved and seconded. The roll call vote, Michelle?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
I too will vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. Next up is resolution 0624, Housel Middle School WIAA membership.
So kind of same thing I said last time.
Ditto.
On repeat, so.
For younger kids.
Yeah, but for younger kids, so.
That's funny.
Make a motion to approve resolution 0624 Housel Middle School WIAA membership.
It's been moved and seconded. Yoshimi, Caitlin. Roll call vote, Michelle?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
I too will vote yes, motion carries. Thanks, Jackson.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to item number 10 is the 24-25 agreement for the Achievement via Individual Determination AVID Excel Bilingual Program.
So Avid Excel is an elective course we have at Housel Middle School. We have students who enter our schools and are bilingual qualified based on what's called a home language survey. So if Spanish is spoken in the home, then that puts students into that bilingual education. They take the WIDA assessment each year, and the goal is in 3 to 5 years, within 3 to 5 years, those students would exit the bilingual program, their English proficiency is signed up. But we have to see what happens where students get kind of stuck and don't get out of bilingual. And by the time they hit middle school, they've been in school 6, 7, 8 years. And they get kind of stuck in what's called a level 3, which is right before you exit if you get to a level 4. So the Avid Excel program really works. It's kind of like it's like Avid in that we do the college readiness, the things that we do with Avid, but it has that component of really supporting their building their language. So this is the contract. So to offer we have the curriculum, access to all the materials for this, and we pay for that with Title III funds.
Any questions for Deanna? I move to approve the 2024-25 agreement for the Avid Excel bilingual program. It's been moved and seconded. Shimi, Caitlin, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to 11 is the 2024-25 Avid agreement.
I would say, just like I said before, but that's not quite accurate, like Jackson, so this is our regular Avid agreement, that gives us access to the curriculum as well as like our Avid weekly current events kinds of articles and things, so this is the contract to offer Avid for our middle school and high school for 24-25. And we pay for that out of Title I.
I have a question. Is achievement via individual determination a different program than advancement via individual determination?
It's all advancement via individual determination.
I think achievement used to be.
So was the last supposed to be achievement?
What's the key difference between the two?
It's not, it's a typo.
Oh.
The key difference between the titles, no, it's advancement via individual determination. That's just a typo. It's not achievement, not on number 10. It's supposed to be advancement.
I make a motion to approve 24-25 advancement via individual determination agreement.
Been moved and seconded. Yoshimi? Caitlin? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to Arizona State University Agreement.
I might as well just keep talking. So this is the first time ever we've had an Arizona State student that wants to come and student teach here. The student applied to their online program and was accepted, so we will have our first Arizona State student teacher next year. As long as you approve this agreement.
Make a motion to approve the Arizona State University agreement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Yoshimi? Caitlin? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up is item 13 is first reading for the removal of policy and procedure 7321.
As at our study session last time, I told you that I would do the research and figure out what is the proper Robert's Rules of Order for removing a policy. For those who were not here or haven't heard it before, we have policy 6220. That is our bids and contract policy. And then we have policy 7321 that was in there that had similar language with different numbers, and they had different adoption dates and update dates. And so we reached out to WASDA, and all we have to do is have a first reading that I tell you that says we're looking to officially remove the policy. And you need to have time between the first reading and the second reading to make sure that's what you want to do. And so it's just like we would do an adoption, but it's a removal.
Questions?
Said 6220.
Let me just make sure it's not 6020. Just let me, Selena, is it 6220 or 6020?
I think it's 6220.
I think it is 6220. I'm almost, yes. So if you look at 6220, the original adoption date, and then the modification dates, it has all kinds of dates and it's been updated through the years. When 7321, it's never been modified, it's never been, it's just been sitting out there.
That put it in financial.
Oh, and almost all of our other financial things are in the 6,000 series. And so they said, we're fine. We just need to leave the 7,000 number there. Because that's what we do in the state of Washington, but all of our financial stuff can stay in 6,000. And that's just cleaner for our public as well, because if they're going to look for anything financial in our policy, it's all in our 6,000 numbers.
Any other questions? I move to approve first reading for the removal of policy and procedure 7321.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Shimi, Caitlin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the last one is vouchers.
So this is just a reminder that you actually have the early month and the late month. That's the reason that the list is so long and so on and so forth, right? Because we have the policy in place when our AP is on vacation or whatever, that we can go ahead and pay bills on the 10th with my approval of them. And then you would approve, basically you're approving my approval on anything on the first run, and then you have the second run there.
I have a couple questions. 909, 175 and 176. Why are we paying, are we paying the Department of Retirement Systems and L&I out of this run? How come it's not in payroll?
I don't have that pulled up. It was like a $300.
Yeah, it was
payment.
400
I
and
think
one.
it's a correction.
It was a
We
correction.
got an invoice, for like a plan correction. So what happens if somebody retires and they go through their clock hours and realize that we reported something incorrectly, or they reported or the employee reported something incorrectly, then we're responsible for the difference.
Okay,
So it was a difference bill.
okay,
It's like 328 something, I think.
right. I have a couple more. I just got to get to them.
It's a long list.
It is a very long list. In the capital budget, or capital, Old Hickory Sheds LLC, there's 2 sheds, one for baseball, one for softball. My question is, was one of those a donation or it's,
Yes, the voice was a
okay,
donation.
So we have revenue that offsets part of that expenditure.
Correct. Half of that.
Is that what we already approved from
Mhm.
RDO?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So we had to buy, both, and then they donated the boys, but we had to buy the same one for softball.
so I guess my question is why, if we got the donation for the boys, I get that we bought the other one, but this is an invoice for 2. Wouldn't one come out of ASB and one come out of here? Since it was a donation, should have been donation to the baseball program, right?
It should- Yeah, so I will have her correct that.
Okay.
Good, yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Well, no, but
Hey.
that's great because I didn't catch it either.
I didn't even catch it.
So are we gonna have to table this or make the correction?
It'll be a journal
by-
entry.
No, it'll just be a journal entry.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll do it in the background.
Okay. So my next
So
question,
let's make sure that we make a note of that for public record though. That, do we need to bring that journal entry public then, since it was brought up in this meeting?
I mean, we can.
Okay, I think we should.
okay, I'm good with that. My next question, and I probably say this more often than not when it comes to the ASB funds, but we've got to come up with a better way than having our coaches buy uniforms and then getting reimbursed. I don't know how to do that, and I don't know the way to do that, but
It was not approved before it happened. Yes, so it was a surprise to all of us.
I was in the ASB meeting when we approved him to like get the funds back.
uh-huh.
It was during COVID, it was during COVID when he bought the forms and like, it would have been really slow to get them approved or something. He said something like that, so it was from a ton of
Like 3 years ago then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
so
When
it was
did-
from COVID, yeah.
When was the reimbursement submitted?
I'm not too sure on that. That was just
A couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks ago.
Or purchase
No.
made in 2020?
No,
No,
it was,
not
the
with-
purchase was not made in
2020.
We have all the receipts.
Okay. Did we get, these are uniforms that we'll keep.
We would just say that Mr. Hawk is working on ensuring people follow proper protocols when making those kinds of purchases.
Yes.
Thank you, Yashini. I appreciate that.
How many uniforms is $8,212?
Those uniforms, hats, I think it all customized for, and something else, uniforms, hats, and something else.
One was BSN, it was BSN and something else, I don't know, but that's
Those were
probably.
uniforms, hats, but there was one other thing. Because we get equipment and uniforms from BSNs.
Yeah, there's another item, like, I don't remember.
The total was $16,425 for baseball uniforms?
So it was actually half that. The gal who does AP, made a mistake. And so, she did fix that. We voided one and rewrote it for the 8,000. I would be more than happy to send you all the actual whole packet with the invoices and everything too.
So we'll have to make an adjustment in the minutes, right? That this is that, it should be 8,000,
Yep,
not
it should
16.
be half, exactly. half of
Okay.
that, yeah.
And it was done after this run was, we caught the
Yeah.
error after
So
the run was
The
done.
reimbursement was submitted twice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I noticed so the BMO Harris Bank that's what is it called again?
Credit card company.
The credit
P
card, P card.
Mhm.
Is that, I know it's kind of a new process that we started, what, a year ago or ish, somewhere in there. Is that a better way to do these types of expenses? I see it was used for a ton of different things.
Mhm. So it's easier to use the P card for travel.
Okay,
We use it a lot for travel, a lot for, like outings and stuff, and so it's more convenient than having to put a PO in for everything. But it's tracked the same, it's tracked all the same. They're really convenient if you're following protocol.
I'm gonna also add a lot of our, like the travel you're talking about, the HOSA and whatever, those companies, or not companies, organizations are not wanting to take purchase orders anymore. Because if we do a purchase order, it takes them almost 45 days to get their money. Sometimes the conference is over. From the date of the registration to the conference till when they get their money, it's over. They've had to pay the hotel, the places, the meeting room spaces, and their check hasn't come. So almost.
Hotels will not take POs.
Hotels will no longer take POs. And so if you don't have, well, we used to, 15 years ago, used to have one district credit card. Then everybody would go down to the office, sit in the office, do their travel, use the one card. And now the P card process allows for that flexibility. It is a lot of work, I have to say. It's a lot of work for our administrative assistants that we were talking about today and thanking them. It's a lot of work for people who carry them because you have to follow all these protocols and all these different things. And it's not always easy, but I think it's expedites what we're able to do.
Yeah, business just won't operate on POs really anymore, it's not
that makes
practical.
Even our smaller local businesses would rather us use a P card. We have an
Like a
account for,
local rec.
yeah, so even like the local Ace Hardware, whatever, they will happily do that, but they're still waiting on our money for our check runs, right? Where if we use a P card, they're getting their cash.
that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Just for the record, Selena, too, for our minutes, I want to make sure that the correction and stuff is brought up in as a line item for next.
And the invoice.
Yep. I just think it's good for doing good business.
Any other questions?
Question that's not specifically related to a voucher so much as it's kind of painful to see how much money we spend for our high school students to get college credits elsewhere. But Mr. Bailey, I'm kind of curious, like with now we can offer an AA college in the high school. What's being done to kind of inform students and parents that that's available? And are you seeing that kids are taking that option as you look through schedules?
Recruiting. We've been trying to do this for the last couple of years. I think a big part of it is change of mindset. Again, we deal with this quite frequently. It's generational. AP used to be the high level coursework. AP is no longer as predominant as it used to be. And so it's a matter of education and trying to teach people that college and high school is a good route. Trying to educate families and students that staying at the high high school might be a better route for them than potentially taking running start classes even. But the bottom line is we want students to do what's best for them and what's best for their family. And sometimes we lose students to CBC or sometimes we can keep them. We've had multiple nights for our college and high school nights. We'll continue to do those. I feel like the message is getting out there. We bring it up even as early as our 8th grade or our freshman orientation. We've already been talking to our incoming freshman students about opportunities and it's opened a lot of eyes, so we can continue to do that.
It does, it has made a difference. 5 years ago, we had 120 kids in Running Start, now it's about 60. So it has made a difference. There will still be some classes kids will be taking at CBC because they do have to have their 30 credits, although some of those can be taken here. So you still would see that even if it looked like everybody was staying here for Running Start, getting their AA here, you'd still see some of that. But I'm interested to see what the numbers are. It just takes time. Like our first parent night, we still had just mostly kids that are going to be juniors and seniors. And it's like, we need the freshmen and sophomores because that's when they can start taking the classes. And so it's work to get the word out. And
you really do have to plan even from the age of the incoming freshmen have to start planning those things because you still have to think about graduation credits and requirements and all of that stuff as an incoming freshman, which is different than I experienced in high school. It's far different than I experienced in high school. And
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering if you're seeing that with the schedules that you're getting now. Cause I was thinking about that. Yeah, Running Start, like you have to wait till you're a junior, but you know, if you're doing college in the high school, you can start taking classes as a freshman.
yeah.
And you should, because a lot of times kids, like some years we've had more, but some years we have very few kids that actually get their AA. Because if they do it just their junior, senior, it's very hard to get it done, especially if they still want to have some high school life too. So a lot of kids don't finish, or it's like, oh, I'm going to go 1 year to CBC to get finished. So just gives them more time to do it.
I mean, it affects a lot of different things. You know, we had discussion on math at middle school and all of those things. So as you build these things into your high school, it pushes other things perhaps down to the middle school levels. And, you know, kids can't take calculus for credit oftentimes if they don't find algebra opportunities or upper level math opportunities for them at the middle school. So it really affects a lot of stuff, and we work hard to try and provide those for kids.
And currently if they have a need at the middle school, they come to the high school.
We have
Right.
4 students right now that come from the middle school to the high school to take math classes. They are very advanced students, and they work. We've also created pathways in the master schedule to accommodate for students who don't do that. And we have accelerated pathways just so students can take upper level math classes.
The middle school will have Algebra 1 back in their schedule next year.
So we'll have Algebra 1, that'll create some more room and more opportunity for kids to take upper level math. We're hoping that, you know, just like every year, we have kids register for classes and fill out their request forms. We're just finishing that up. Our counselors are going through that right now. And then we make decisions on what classes are going to make our master schedule based on those requests. And so when students don't sign up for calculus doesn't make the schedule. There's a few students, but the more classes, the more higher level students we get at lower age grade or lower grade levels, the more kids want to take those. So see how, I mean, it can create problems, but it creates opportunity as well. So keep working at it.
I'm a Running Start student. I went to YBC for 2 semesters and now I'm switching to CBC. So I've done both of the Running Start routes, but I think most Running Start students go because like they may not like a certain instructor because one college and high school class may only have 1 instructor here and like not multiple. So we get a choice of who our instructor is for CBC and YBC. So we can like rate my professor and stuff.
So you wouldn't necessarily have to leave the high school. That would be more of a personal.
Yeah.
If you don't like the teacher.
It can be that. I've heard that, but I personally took my 101 and 201 for English down at YBC, and I loved my professors there. But I think Mr. Martin here is a really good teacher. I had him my freshman year, and he's really good. So it could be that, but it could also just be it's easier to have credits at one certain place rather than I have 5 credits at Central and then a few credits at Eastern because of college and high school, because then you have to buy your transcript and get it all together. And you really have to track those credits down if you do college and high school classes.
So we're gonna be paying for your transcripts, so, cause we know multiple kids have transcripts, and that's something we talked about this year, using the program, because you could potentially have like 4 or 5 transcripts, and it's a lot. And there's also transcripts like for CBC, there's courses that are prereqs, so if you just wait till the very end, then it wouldn't look like they took a course that they needed, they wouldn't know that. So we're setting up a system for that as well, so that we can once a year do transcripts for the kids. Yeah, that'd be helpful, that's really great, yeah.
Jimmy's like, yay.
I paid for 3 transcripts so far this year. So
darn it.
I didn't know that.
Turn in your receipt.
All right, moving on. I will go ahead and move to approve vouchers.
Sorry, Jason, sidetrack that.
Oh,
Just real quick, what is the election reserve fund? I just don't know what it is.
Oh, so that is, I sent you guys an email about that. That was the levy cost.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Is that a different amount than what?
So the whole bill was 100,000 and we split it between general fund and capital.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I do need a second or
I'll
it's gonna
second.
die. Or somebody else is
It's like, I can wait.
it would just die,
Your
and then
teacher
somebody
wait
else would
time.
have to, I lost my train of thought. If she, Caitlin. So it's been moved and seconded to approve vouchers. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign, motion carries. Okay, moving on to, that's the end of our action items for tonight. Moving on to consent items.
Actually, I would like to discuss the certificated personnel, because I had emailed some questions and I was waiting to get some answers on them, so that could be removed from consent and just done separately.
Do you want to do it in action or do you want to discuss it in consent?
We could discuss it and then consent. I think that will work.
Okay.
My question is, when are we overstaffing our coaches? That we've got 2 assistant football coaches on here, and well, I don't know, one's going from one place to another, but what's the formula in determining how many coaches do we need for football? Is it like how many kids we have and then how many coaches? But I will tell you, and I hear this too, and I don't know anything about football, just other than what my husband yells at the TV. But I feel like when I'm in the stands and I'm watching a high school football game, we have like a 1-to-1 coach to player ratio sometimes. I feel like there's a lot of football coaches. I know we have, I think, over 100 kids on track. I don't know if that's close to how many kids are on football. How many coaches do we have there? What's the formula and how do we figure this out?
So
And I know we have
I love that you asked that question, by the way, because
So
I asked that to my husband the other day and he
all
said
the
football needs
numbers
a lot.
off the top of my head, but all of the national organizations for like those sports have recommendations for ratios. And depending on the liability of certain sports, that ratio would be lower versus track might be a sport that doesn't have as much liability as like tackle football or wrestling. Those kinds of sports, although in wrestling, only one kid is on the mat with one other kid at a time. So I couldn't tell you what those numbers are but there are recommendations.
We have worked on that. It's been quite a few years, but you try to find a number that works. And in football, you try to get to 10-to-1. I think that was the number that we generally agreed on.
10 kids to 1 coach.
10 kids to 1 coach because of the nature of the sport. You want more coaches. The other piece to that, and I don't know if that's even written down anywhere, but that's what we had worked on years ago. The other thing to consider is when you see all those coaches, so many of those coaches aren't being paid, they're volunteers. So we have a lot of very, very generous community that oftentimes goes into coaching. Because they know that those sports need help and they do that knowing they're not gonna get paid.
maybe one thing we could do, and this, I know I volunteered, it's not anything to do with me, but maybe one thing that would help is, because I saw it on some of the rosters in some schools, is to list the coaches and the volunteer coaches on our rosters, then people would know if there's 15 people outside in there.
And those coaches are already listed on final forms through WIAA, so it doesn't matter if they're paid or volunteer, they have to be listed as a coach on final forms.
Some of those salaries can be split too.
Yeah.
I can give you one just that was done just for next year. And I can't tell you the names because I don't know everybody's names, but one assistant coach 1.0 was divided between two people. So each of them are getting half of that salary. But I am clicking really quick right here because we just got that spreadsheet while I was in Seattle or in Portland with that list, and it has all the names and everything on it. And I thought Jackson sent it to everybody. Can you see if you can find it?
I have it right here. It's, I have it. You didn't
Pardon?
send it to them.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want me to-
So I will forward that on to all of you. I'll give you an example. Actually, should we share it on the screen? But it's not in the agenda. It looks like this, but it's got names. I don't think. we
Yeah,
can.
I probably.
So I'll just probably forward it to all of you. It came up and we could bring it back for the other agenda, but I'll forward it out to all of you. It came while I was in Portland.
You can do it as an informational item at the next agenda or next regular meeting.
That was my discussion on it.
Okay.
Thank you for the information.
Any other questions on consent items? I move to approve consent items 1 through 3.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Yoshimi? Galen? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. All right, that includes that part. Go on to director's reports. Delise?
Okay, so student enrollment. So we are down 10 this month, and I know Superintendent Casey sent you an email on the reasoning why. Those corrections are being done in the scheduling side, and we're seeing those come through. So we're hoping to have a more solid number and have those corrections done by the end of the month.
I have one question. On the very last sheet that kind of gives the breakout to the schools. And I probably overlooked this before and you probably explained it. The enrolled into Graduation Alliance 460 is a withdrawal from PHS. But unless I'm reading this wrong, this counts as 7 towards the enrollment. Am I
So-
reading that right?
So we put the POA there so you can see how many are going in to Prosser Opportunity Academy
Okay.
also. Because it was getting confusing, because, I mean, Kim and I were trying to read it and it looked like they were just going in and out, so it didn't make sense that the
Gotcha.
FTE was dropping, and so we just separated them out line by line. But we did have 7 go into POA, and then, but those 7 did come from.
Okay. And then we had 2 that re-enrolled. Is that right?
Yeah.
Into the high school, physical
Mhm.
high school.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions for Elise? Thank you. Deanna?
So Brian talked about the bridge program, so I don't have to talk about the long time, but it's very exciting because I've spent almost all my years in this role working on building our own paras, people in our community that want to be teachers. And it's really exciting now we're going to high school seniors. And so as soon as school's out, they can apply to be para subs, and then they'll be working for us in the elementary schools as para subs next year. They're both really exciting. It was fun to see them do their signing and stuff today. It was a great turnout. Brian has teachers, got we had teachers, we had so many people. So you see
Parents,
some fun pictures,
grandparents.
probably, oh yeah, parents, grandparents, aunts, cousins. Hopefully some pictures will probably be in our social media here in the next couple days. We worked on the TK and ECAP, the early learning interest form. We have over 100 people on the list. Some of those are people that were confused, and so they're really kindergartners. So we've called each of those parents and said, you really need to enroll in kindergarten because your child's 5. But we are adding a TK class. So we will have 3 TK classes next year. Still the 2 ECAP classes. We still won't be able to take all of the kids. But we're doing our best to take the kids that have the greatest needs, that haven't had access to early learning.
What's the gap there, Deanna? How many kids?
Well, it's 18 times 5, so that's 90 right now. And like I said, there was a handful of 5-year-olds, so it's not huge. A lot of them are also 3-year-olds. So there's a big group of 3-year-olds, and those will go to ECAP. It considers 3-year-olds. We don't take 3-year-olds. So.
I mean, how many kids want to be in programs, but we have to say no?
Right now, there's some, yeah. I mean, we're looking, the list is a wait list now, so people can still go in and finish the form, but it's wait list. But we have placed about 14 kids in each class, and then we're gonna hold on the last 4 spots because we're supposed to take the students that are the most need. And so students that currently have early learning, we have not placed those students at this time.
So I'll give you an example. We've talked a lot about this. The reason we're leaving those spots, somebody moves in or isn't eager beaver, or they don't know, but their child needs it the most and it's August and they really need TK. We need to be able to have a seat for them. And you wouldn't like it as a parent very well if we called you and said, oh, by the way, so we have to bump you back out. Somebody needs it more. So we try and leave those spots in every class.
We'd love to be able to have everybody. That's just it's not going to be possible at this time, unless, you know, down the road, maybe if we have more space. I mean, we keep adding, we added another class, so we'll just keep, first year we had 1, then we had 2, now we're at 3. So we'll just keep growing and try to provide more services for families. So. I'm still meeting with my 6 through 12 science adoption committee. We're digging into different curriculums for some potential pilots for next year. And then Darlene mentioned the farm to school grant. That's pretty exciting. And I want to thank her and Laura Montaneros, who's one of our school nurses. They worked really hard on that with Kathleen Podell to get that grant. So it'll be cool. So we're excited about that as well. That's all for me.
Any questions? Thank you, Deanna.
There's ladies. Here's mine, as always, written report. I know it's been brought up and you guys haven't done your report, but the Rotary track meet was a huge success. We do want to tell you some growing pains we had. The track meet started, I think, at 3:30. We had a custodian coming on at 5, and it really wasn't early enough. So we had a backed up sink in the girls' restroom. We ran out of toilet paper early, so on and so forth. So what do we learn when you have 32 schools? And right, you go through a lot of toilet paper in a quick amount of hurry. And I don't mean to make light of it, but we want people to understand we've learned from that and we're making adjustments. But I sent out, it was in the Pulse of Prosser and so forth, but if you had the opportunity to drive by or look or see, it was amazing. And what'd you call it? Twilight track or something? The other thing that we heard from a couple of the organizations so far was how nice the track was and some of the times. I don't know that we had a lot of PR or excuse me, like near the records, but the times were way more close to what when you run another track would be. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Capital Levy Committee, we met last Friday. Boy, the work is going to really happen quick. I'm really thankful. We had three families or groups so talking about the tennis court. We had our tennis coaches as well as a community member talking about the capital levy, like working on the doing what we say we're going to do type conversation. So I think it's really great. We're going to get those. Those meetings will be specific to whatever, but the door will always be open. Somebody can walk in and listen to what's going on. So we're super excited about that. 2 legal issues. One was done and the other one should be done by Friday. I am going to work on creating some kind of a publication. Won't go out often, but we probably won't put it in the paper unless we maybe put it monthly or something, just about the capital levy. Here's what we've done so far. We want our community to be very transparent. We had a great meeting today. I thought maybe you'd bring it up, so I wasn't gonna have to, but we're working on our open door program. Some of you know it as a gifted program. Some of you know it as highly capable program, kind of depending on what generation from, but we had some great parent input and I think we're really excited to what's gonna happen with what that's gonna look like in the future. Student board member, Selena, is it done?
We have 4 applicants so far.
Good. Yep. So that's happening. Moving forward with OPHS. I don't know if you've driven by where the Boys and Girls Clubs, the old portables are gone. They're down to, you can see the piles out there, tires. Nobody knows what to do with tires anymore. Some concrete and some different stuff, but it'll be nice to see how that takes shape on the Boys and Girls Club. And on the Old Prosser High School side, the roof is done. We met with Cougar Digital to do the imaging of all the big class pictures, and we're working on that side for here. We got the quotes for the carpet, the paint, the furniture, so that was really exciting. We're happy to say Sean's gone home, but we had a little faux pas, if you want to, in irrigation. It was down for just a few hours. So just like our lights and heat and everything work through our systems, our irrigation works the same way. And it was down for a couple hours, but we got that worked up. Windows are scheduled to be washed. In some of the buildings, fertilizer's going down. We're working on a way to independently qualify our security officers once a quarter. So that's just kind of for your information. Nothing new on the signs. They've been ordered. We're still working on the language on the track. You'd think it wouldn't be that hard, but you want it to be friendly, respectful, and also something you can enforce, right? You don't want to make a sign that's not enforceable. I did attend the Migrant National Conference. So we left on Sunday morning. We took 4 parents and other staff. It was so fun riding in the car with the parents, just their stories and whatever. And they went to the dance last night, whatever. So 1,500 people at this national conference, downtown Portland. Great experience for me as well. And I'll tell you why. Remember when you guys wore the headsets?
Yes.
That meeting? Well, I was the one wearing the headset a lot of the time. I think that's really good for my learning or my relation, right, with the people. It was quite interesting too. Well, most of it was about migrant. There was an amazing video, and I'll look it up and send you the link, about the migrant workers in the state of Oregon and the crops. You know, filberts, or what most of us call that, the cucumbers, all of the stuff, and how much is there and across the state, their coastal migrant work, as well as what's in Eastern Oregon, right? And they talked about the migrant workers. It was just quite fascinating, and we got to hear from 8 students about their families. So it was really good. Plus, we learned about home visits and all kinds of stuff. So it was very good. Fiscal, we sent out an email to you about 3 study session dates. They will be non-action meetings, but there'll be tons and tons of deep work. If you'll notice, one is about staffing, one is about MSOC, and then one's about revenue. And so they'll all kind of have to go together. We are starting teacher negotiations this year. So we did reach out to the state, and so we can do a tentative approval with not having to do anything, as long as what happens in our teacher negotiation fits within our budget, then we wouldn't have to make any changes. and we're gonna plan accordingly for IPD and so forth. We did not have anyone, send in a proposal for the RFQ for an appraiser. We spoke to a couple people and there was a word or words inside the qualifications that took it out of the field for many of our local appraisers. What you don't know, right? So there was a type of license that we put in there, and so we're gonna rewrite it and put it back out. It's not as crucial as our other two, but we want to be prepared to sell our properties and stuff that we need to help improve our capital funds. Graduation is Saturday. I did send an email about regalia. Talked to Brian a little bit about it. Got some feedback from individuals on that, so we can talk about that, but just please make sure that you've got graduation on your calendar. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Moving on to board reports. Michelle.
Okay, well, I visited Whitstrand, when that was, I think it was prior to the last board meeting. Or after, maybe I was about to go. Deanna took me to some science classes. And we're planning another visit on the 30th where they have their final Starbase experience coming to the school. So planning to go to that and just kind of see what that entails for the kids there. But it was informative. We see what they're doing in the classrooms. Delise spent a couple hours with me last week, just going through the budget process. So I had all these questions about like when you do what and when we know what we're getting from the state and how we know what our funding situation looks like. And so thanks for meeting with me on that. It was really helpful. I also went to the bingo night and auction, had a blast. I won a little bit more than I probably should have, but happy to help STEM programs. I did want to just thank the PTO for putting that event on because I thought it was really great. And I saw that they posted on Facebook a thank you, but also just a call to the community to, it takes a lot of people to put on this sort of stuff. And so, if you can volunteer with the PTO, it really is worth it. In my experience, what sets a school apart from others and being a great school is parents being involved, whether that's in your academics or whether it's, getting in there and volunteering for things. So I just would encourage everybody to step up, and PTO meets first Monday of the month at 6 at KRV. So to make more of those events happen, we need some people. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Brian?
I don't have much. I'm just excited for that track meet, man. That was cool. I think last year we had 13 or 14 schools that showed up. So over doubling that. That's awesome. Having districts back here. It's been a long time. So that was awesome to see, man. And if anybody's interested, I will be here tomorrow for some cornhole.
Yeah, the Rotary track meet, it was called to my attention that we did not do a national anthem before. I wasn't sure if that did get done, and I just would like to see that happen, and I didn't know.
It is pretty traditional that either the Pledge of Allegiance or national anthem is done, and I don't have anyone here. Is anybody here that was at the start?
Can I address it? So, yeah, it bothered me too. I sent an email to Jackson. I thought maybe that would be my first step. He responded right away. And what you brought up, Kim, about the custodian, he got called to be a custodian. And so he said he had it ready on his iPad. It still disappoints me, but he had it ready on the iPad and he got called to flush toilets, I guess.
I think that's probably the biggest track meet he's probably ever.
Yeah, I just didn't know who was in charge of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Jackson does that.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you,
especially on a
though.
Big thing like that, and that's kind of a big deal. So, yeah, but other than that,
I want to brag on Caitlin because I got to see her at the hospital, had some imaging done, and she asked if she could sit in her rotation she was in, and she was so professional and had said that that's the field that she's going to go into. So to get to see our students you know, working in the hospital side by side with technicians and how she conducted herself just as if she was a professional and had trained herself. I just thought our students are doing so great in the HOSA program, and the program with the hospital, and that partnership is just incredible, and it's gonna lead to a new person in that field, which is so necessary. I was at the FFA plant sale. I went at 10 a.m. on Friday. I had to guard like 6 sweet potato vines with my life to get out of there with them, without everybody else trying to take them. I think it was very successful. There was not much left at 10 a.m. on Friday. I do have something I want to discuss, that my last item, and it's more somber, and it's what happened in Bridgeland this week. I think it's really nice that as a school that we put out that message, and I thought I really appreciated that. But, you know, reading, you know, the background of the killer involved, and that he had worked in the Richland School District, I think as an information item, if we could discuss with the community in a meeting, the process that we go through on background checks. Because clearly something got missed between Yakima and Richland with that individual, and I would hope that we have processes in place that we're following our due diligence.
That's a good point. Thank you. I didn't have much, but, you know, again, the track meet, we can all say it was an awesome deal. Seemed like if you're over there, you just couldn't function in town. It was so busy. So, you know, again, the restrooms, but somebody said maybe add another dozen porta potties.
Well, I think we learned our lesson. I think the system just couldn't handle the volume.
Right. And who would have thought that, you know, and then again, you know, just thank all of our administrative assistants and, you know, the help that they give us, and, you know, I really appreciate all the work that they do, so. That's it for tonight's meeting. Our future meetings, we'll have a regular board meeting May 8th, right here in the Prosser Library Workroom at 6 p.m. And this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
I will, even with like 10 people, I'm just out of toilet paper, but usually it's Saturday.
Right.
Usually not a janitor. Finally, like the parent had taken out the garbage and like the services for the, but without me. Well,
I can't believe the national anthem thing.
Thank you.
No. Oh, nice to meet you.